What is up, my guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Grubs and I make Eternal Return content mostly for new players. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. It feels like it's been a while since I've talked to you guys, and I have really missed talking to you guys. So I wanted to start off this year strong by making a pretty imperative video, I think, when it comes to new players, and that is, how do you make builds as a new player when you come into Eternal Return? A lot of MOBAs nowadays actually kind of have this hand-holding process when it comes to purchasing items for your character. Let's take League, for example. Now when you go into the shop, it'll give you like 3 items that they suggest for you that are kind of the core items for the character, or they will suggest something else that will help you counter another character specifically, which is pretty cool. I think it will help people as a new player kind of learn, okay, these are the items that I need to purchase. I also worry about that because I wonder if people don't actually learn the items and they just kind of follow the prompts that are given to them, but either way, it allows people to get into the game. If you have played Eternal Return, then you know that is not the case. It is actually a somewhat complicated system when it comes to learning what items are what, how to implement them, and that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be going over how to pick a loadout and what to do when you want to make your own loadout for Eternal Return. So without further ado, let's just dive into it. Let's talk about loadouts in Eternal Return. If you do not know what a loadout is, your loadout is basically what your character is going to be building. In most MOBAs, you have a shop that you can go back to, and it's usually in like your hub or your nexus or something like that, a general safe area. Eternal Return does not have that. Instead, it is kind of a semi-foraging crafting game that you have to create your own gear in order for you to excel. Of course, we know about the purple gear, right? You get into the game, and the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna start looting through boxes, and you're gonna start pressing Z, and you're gonna start doing all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there is an optimal way to do that. I think that Superior actually has probably the best video when it comes to looting and crafting for the early game, and I will be leaving a link to that video down below because I really think it's imperative for new players to understand how important it is to get your purple gear done. I can't tell you how many times I've had new players say, come play with me, and they still don't understand the concept of trying to get their purple gear done quick enough. If you do not have that tempo down, I cannot do anything to assist you because unfortunately, you're too far behind for us to really start capitalizing on objectives. Remember, a good rule of thumb is you want to be done with your purple gear by the time you hit a minute left in the day 1 cycle. If you are still crafting your gear by the time it hits night 1, you are taking way too long, and we need to find ways to fix that so that you can be able to participate and not get ganked and not have a bad time when trying to approach farm. I'm sure some of you are wondering, as brand new players that have just installed the game, but where do I find my loadouts? Well, when you're on the main screen, there's actually a tab called Loadout that you can go and scroll through the character, pick their weapon type, and then you can scroll through different loadouts that you can look through. Hovering over the different plans, you can then see kind of what their win rate is, how often people approve of them, and how generally popular they are. And all of that works for if you are a new player trying to figure out whether or not that loadout is good for you. Just go off the numbers, make it really simple for yourself. Another thing that you can do is when you pick a character and you're about to go into game, the top 4 loadouts will actually show up for you. My first season ranking, all I used were pre-made loadouts that somebody else had already made. I did not see the reason for me to make my own loadout. I did not need to tweak or fine-tune for my own playstyle because the loadouts that are generally there are good loadouts. They have good tempo, it doesn't take too long for you to finish your gear, has good transition items. It doesn't really make sense for me to fix something when it's already there for me. Now, one of the things to kind of notice is that when you are going from your purple gear to your gold gear, some of the plans actually have the items in a specific order. Usually that's because the people that made the loadout are trying to help you get to your power spikes faster. There's a reason why Persona is the first item on that list sometimes. It's because they want you to get that force core first so that you can get to that power spike and so that you can start your snowball. I know that an early force core seems really daunting, especially to a new player. You don't really know how to farm efficiently, so you don't know how to get to that 350 coinage really quickly, and even veteran players get bullied off those first trees and meteorites when day 2 starts. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. The question then becomes, how do I recover from something like that? Keep in mind that tempo is extremely important in this game. Understanding alternative items that you can build for your character is extremely important. That's why if I was going to be learning a new character, I would run probably 2 or 3 different builds just to get an idea of what their item pool looks like. Learning to be flexible with your build is also very, very important. For example, with Tazia, I know that if I get a tree early that I can go to a credits kiosk and I can buy a meteorite, turn that into a 4 score, and then I can get an early Couturier, which is a huge power spike for my character. But let's say we've gotten the tree, it's in my character's inventory, and then another 2 teams are advancing on me. I can't just go to the credits kiosk and try to go buy something while my team is fighting, and I definitely don't want to be dying with that tree on me, because then that's just free material for somebody else. I know that 2 other viable options for my character are for me to build my weapon and slam that tree really quickly, or I can make glacial shoes or something else depending on what it is that I am building. Understanding what to do in those tight moments is a really big part of the game. It gets exponentially easier when you are playing with a squad of people, especially if you're in voice chat, because you can just say, hey, who can slam? And usually somebody will be like, hey, give it to me, I can make that happen. And then you just zone out the other teams while you let your teammate try to build. Being able to adapt on the fly when it comes to your build and not overcapping things is really important and a skill that you must learn. I don't care if you have 4 4-score items in your build, if the passives overlap and you're sitting at 80% CDR when it caps out at 30, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You are effectively wasting slots that could be used more beneficially, and you are actually hurting yourself in regards to your stats. And just a gentle reminder, please do not wait until night 3 and first item buy blood. That is such a stupid thing to do. Your blood item will not outweigh the rest of your gold materials, I promise you. It is a great thing to have as a leg up for end game, but having it mid game and just having 1 blood item and the rest of your items still being purple is really silly and not beneficial at all. I have to say it because I still see it happening. If your friends are doing this, send them this video and the timestamp that tells them not to do it. I beg of you, your homie does not want you doing that. It is silly, do not do it. Now, when it comes to trying to figure out alternative items that you can build for your character in a pinch, a really great place to go is to dak.gg. If you go to dak.gg and you look at your character, you can then kind of see what other people are building and what they are taking to the late game. Now, it gets a little confusing here because sometimes builds are trying to do different things. Certain builds might be trying to push more CDR, other builds might be trying to push more burst damage, other builds might be trying to go a little bit tankier. But the more you familiarize yourself with these items, the easier it is for you to differentiate between what it is that you think you need and what it is that is just wrong for your character in the build that you are going for. As a new player, though, I understand how overwhelming it is for you to try to remember all of these items while trying to manage tempo, while trying to learn all these different characters, and trying to understand rotations. I get it. I don't blame you for it. It is a lot to swallow when it comes to this game. So if you are a brand new baby player, sweet baby angel, I am going to suggest this for you, and I think this is the smartest thing for you to do while you are learning how to manage everything in the game, is we are going to listen to our queen, Dr. Naja. Sometimes when you pick up an item, Dr. Naja will say, hey, you can build this item with it. Just go ahead and build it. I know some veteran players are cringing at me saying that, but I am telling you, do not overload yourself by trying to remember all of these different items on the fly. It is much better for you to go with the flow until you understand the tempo of the game. Once you understand how to keep tempo, then you can start deviating from your build path, and then you can understand what items it is that you need to be building alternatively. The last thing I want you to do is to press B and then open up the item catalog or the guides or whatever, and then try to find an item that could potentially fix your problem when you already have a solution right there on the right side of the screen. Again, this is for baby players that don't understand the tempo, and it makes sense for you to do it. The game is offering you an out, go ahead and take it. Well, let's say you're not a baby player, right? You don't need me to hold your hand like that. Well, here's an alternative option. Sometimes people are gracious enough when they make their loadouts that you can press P while you're in game. Below the main loadout, you will actually have alternative gear that you can make depending on what items you get. So if you get that extra 4 score and you're like, wow, I want to make Hermes, but I don't want to scroll through the B page or whatever to try to find Hermes, you may be able to press P and see it there. If you are more comfortable with your items and you kind of know what alternative items you want to have in your loadout, you can actually go to the loadout section of the main menu, open up your saved plan, and from there you can actually add items to that secondary bar. In fact, there are other things you can add to that bar as well. If you're somebody that likes crafting a certain type of trap or certain kind of foods, or you like having cameras on a different type of access bar instead of pressing V because you like pressing P for some reason, you can add those there and you can right click and purchase it from that section. Now, I'm sure you all are very interested on how it is that you actually make loadouts as a new player. And there's a very easy answer to that. You don't. You should not be making your own loadouts if you are a brand new player. There are so many factors that come into play when making these loadouts that you are probably not even considering. That is why I say do not even bother. Yes, I'm sure you are a very creative person and that you know how to read and that you think that you understand these items right from the get-go, and that's great. I'm glad you understand those items. But do you understand why they have you ending in a certain zone, where the farm route is, what it is that those transition items are supposed to be and in what order? Do you know how to stagger those items? Is your build too expensive compared to the rest of your teammates? Is it just too expensive in general? There are people that have been playing this game longer than you have, that are better at this game than you are, that have understood this game on a level that you probably don't, okay? Most of those builds that you're looking at are made by people that are pretty high level players. Respect them, trust them, use their builds. Don't try to do it yourself because that's how you get some weird attack speed Alonzo build, or you think, oh yeah, you know, crit Pistolaya might be really funny, and then you get into game and it's actually garbage. I have had new players come to me time and time again saying this game is really hard. I don't understand why I'm getting bullied so badly. And then I find out that they're making their own builds and I'm like, there's your problem. Stop trying to fix something that isn't broke. Use what other people have provided for you, and once you understand the core concepts of the game, the tempo of the game, the rotations of the game, the characters in the game, then you can go ahead and start trying to fine-tune your gameplay in regards to your loadout. Why intentionally handicap yourself when you already have a steep mountain to climb? It just doesn't make sense to me, and it's honestly very frustrating. I know that you want to do things your way, and I absolutely respect that, and to a certain degree, you should do things your way. Builds in this game are not as forgiving as something like League of Legends, for example. You have to be very precise with it. And especially if you are somebody that is coming into this game with the intention to grind and to get really good at this game, then you will come to find that you will start having to min-max through the tiniest minute numbers in order for you to get the upper hand on other people when you start to climb into the higher echelons. And I don't say this to be a dick. I really am trying to say this to help you. There are so many other things that you could be focusing on to improve your gameplay. Your loadout should be the least of your concerns, to be honest, especially when the game provides it for you. Like, the system is there, trust it, just use it, you'll be fine, I promise. And that is it, my guys. That is all I wanted to cover when it comes to loadouts. Making your own loadouts, don't do it. And then alternatives to your plan and kind of how to adjust on the fly. If you are somebody that is brand new and you want to have help with loadouts, or you want to try to talk to somebody that is more experienced at the game, you can come join my Discord, Eternal Connections. Not only do we have weekly events, we have 2 now tournaments that we run, one for high elo, one for low elo, and we have tons of veteran players there that are more than happy to help you understand different loadouts, different builds, and different characters. We also shitpost and post real shit memes, so come hang out with us. If you like this video and you wish to contribute in some way, go ahead and hit that like button, maybe leave a comment if you have advice for other people. And if you want to stick around for the ride, I do make beginner guides and I make other Eternal Return content on this channel, and you can press that subscribe button. I try to post every week. It's been a little shaky recently. I've had a lot going on in my personal life, but I do try to post pretty consistently. And if you want to see more, then yeah, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and you'll be notified every time I post something. And yeah, that's it. Bye!